Hi everyone, I'm Alana. Welcome to another episode of Acceleracing on Reinventing DGA. In this video, we're going to look at the requirements for the LCQ events. Then we'll dive into the main event setup and finally see how points are awarded at the end of the day. Once all the heats are completed, it's time to set up the main event where the best riders from each heat compete head to head. Before we do this, there are some additional considerations as there is only one main event per class, and it is limited to a maximum of 18 riders. If the class has 18 or fewer riders, all riders will compete in the main event. If there are more than 18 riders, a last chance qualifier round will be held. Generally, the race management for both the LCQ events and the main events is the same as the heat management. The lap counters record the results and relay them to the registration desk. These are entered into the spreadsheet. Again, timing between events will be limited. However, it's generally slower paced than the heats, and this is where I can sneak away for some photos. A last chance qualifier will be held if there are more than 18 registered riders in a class. Here's how it works. The top 12 riders from the heats are automatically qualified to compete in the main event. The remaining riders compete in the LCQ race for the remaining 6 main event positions. What if there are more than 18 racers left after the heats? This is not clear in the rules, so we need to make an assumption. In this case, we will limit the number of participants in the LCQ to 18, which aligns to the maximum for the main events. So, riders who place 31st or lower in the heats won't participate in the LCQ and are done for the day. To date, we haven't required an LCQ event, and the likelihood of having more than 18 riders in a class is low. However, the membership continues to grow, and this requirement is something to keep in mind. It's much better to prepare for it now rather than deal with a race day surprise. As mentioned, the main event for each class is limited to 18 riders. Unlike the heats where riders start in a single row, the main event positions are divided into 3 rows with a maximum of 6 riders per row. Because we are aligning our LCQ assumption to the mains, the LCQ position assignment would also match that of the main events. Now, let's walk through how the riders will be assigned to their positions. If we only have one heat, the riders finishing in positions 1 through 6 will take the first 6 spots in the first row of the main event. Riders finishing in positions 7 and 8 from that heat will start in the first 2 positions of the second row. The remaining positions are not filled, as a heat only has 8 riders. If there are more than 2 heats, or if there is an LCQ, the positioning system changes. The rider who finished first in Heat 1 will be assigned Position 1 in the first row, while the rider who finished first in Heat 2 will be assigned to Position 2. This alternating structure will continue. Second place in Heat 1 takes Position 3. Second in Heat 2 takes Position 4, and so on until all positions have been filled. This ensures that the top finishers from the heats are fairly distributed across the rows. If there is an LCQ, the top 12 riders from the heats will be placed in the first 2 rows using the alternating structure. The remaining row will be filled by the top 6 finishers from the LCQ, with the first place rider taking position 1 in the third row. Once the heats and any required LCQs are completed, the main event lineup is finalized. We post the information for our riders and prepare for an incredibly entertaining afternoon of racing. At the end of each race day, awards are given to the top 3 riders in each class based on the results from the main events. In addition, points are awarded to the riders based on the finishing positions in the main event. Here again, riders who did not finish, DNF, can still receive points, and riders that do not start are not eligible to receive points. The points for each class are tracked and accumulated over the race season. The standings are routinely posted to the AFTA website so that members can track their progress. At the end of the year, the total points are used to determine the annual standings for the year-end award banquet. That concludes our breakdown of the LCQ, main event, and point system. It's also our final video for the requirements under the flat track racing rules. But we aren't done yet. Before we can dig into Excel and start building, we need to explore some surprises that came up during the live testing and contemplate how those will be added to the requirements for our spreadsheet. These events will be covered in the next video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Next, we'll look at how testing threw us some curveballs and how we overcame those challenges. See you next time on Reinventing DGA.